Drop a like and do share. Leave your comments and do not forget to subscribe for more videos.
Welcome to Edupedia World Grade 10 Computer Science video lecture series. I'm Upeka Vandibona, and in this episode we are going to write a C++ program for a real-world problem. This problem is about reading a single value. Before moving into coding, first of all, I'll explain this problem, the requirement for our program. The program should capture the number from the user between 1 to 10. If the user gives us a wrong value, it should repeatedly asking for a value until an acceptable one is entered. When we look at this requirement, our fundamental assumption is that we are dealing with interactive input, where a human is typing input and reading the message from the program. So this is the requirement. Now you know, to capture a user input, we need a cin statement, and to check the condition whether the number is in the given range, we need a if condition. So now let's move on to the coding. The first step in our program should be asking for the value. This asking should be displayed in the console. So for that we need a cout statement. In this cout statement we say please enter an integer in the range 1 to 10 inclusive. This backslash means the cursor should move into the next line in the console. Now we need a variable to get hold of the captured value. So for that we define int type variable. I'll call it number, and it should have an initial value which is not in the given range. So I'll assign the value 0. Now it's time for our cin statement. Cin, the two operators, and we assign the captured value to the number variable. Okay, now this number variable get hold of the captured value, so we can check whether it's in the given range. So for that we can use a if statement. In the condition we need to check two conditions. It should be greater than 0 and lesser than 11. When we say greater than 0, it allows 1, 2, 3 and above. Now this greater than 0 checking and lesser than 11 checking should be combined with logical AND operator. To write a logical AND operator we use two AND characters. When we say number lesser than 11 means it allows numbers of 10, 9, 8 and below. Now with both of these two comparisons, it only allows numbers of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. If a user enters one of these numbers, we can say it's a correct number. So I'll use a cout to say that. Now what would happen if the value user entered was not in this range? Then we should repeatedly ask to enter a number. That should be go inside in this else part. Inside this else part we should write again the cin statement and again checking the conditions. If this second number is also incorrect, then we should again asking for another value. So here is the problem. How many times that we should write the cin? Clearly you can see this program have some issue. At this point you should understand this cin part and checking the condition part should go inside in a loop. This looping should be happened until user enters a correct value. It's clear that we totally went in a wrong direction. What I want to say is, when you're given a requirement, don't directly jump into coding. First, you should analyze the requirement. Second, you should come up with several design solutions. Third, you should move on with the best solution. So we'll keep this thing here and move on with the analyzing the requirements. The first mistake we did in our program was we always assume that the user enters an integer value, and we cannot guarantee that. If we consider the problematic values which the user enters, we can categorize it like this. The first category, the user may enter a out-of-range integer value, and that's what we have covered. The second, user may not enter a value, just hit the enter. Now if you can remember, in our program the initial value of our integer variable number was 0. So when user not enters any value, the program will consider the user enters the value 0. Our condition does not know whether this 0 was something the user inputs or it come by default. Actually, that's a weak point in that program. The third category is the user types something of a wrong type. For example, an alphabetic character or a special character. Here again, another problem. So we should identify we have 3 problem situations, and we should deal with those 3 problem situations accordingly. So what can we do in these 3 cases? We have 3 alternatives. First one, we can handle the problem in the code doing the read. The second one, we can throw an exception to let someone else handle the problem. The third one, we can ignore the problem. So these are the 3 very common alternatives for dealing with an error condition. Now this third alternative, you maybe laugh to ignore the problem. It's tempting to say that the third alternative, ignoring the problem, is always unacceptable, but that would be patronizing. If I'm writing a trivial program for my own use, I can do whatever I like, including forgetting about the error checking with potential nasty results. However, for a program that I might want to use for more than a few hours after I wrote it, I would probably be foolish to leave such errors. And if I want to share that program with anyone, I should not leave such holes in the error checking in the code. So in this situation, we do not consider the alternative 3 as acceptable. So here I am going to cut down the alternative 3. And the choice between alternatives 1 and 2 is genuine. That is, in a given program, there can be good reasons to choose either way. But in this course, exception handling is not under our scope. Therefore, we cannot move on with the alternative 2 also. The only option is the alternative 1, handling the problem using the code. Okay, now with the experience we obtained from the rough program we did before and the analysis of the requirement, we can break this problem into manageable parts. Because rather than solving the whole problem at once, it's better to divide this problem into small parts and solve each one by one. In this way, the effort you have to put is much lesser than solving the whole problem at once. So here are the manageable parts. In our program, first we have to prompt the user for input. We know how to do that. And we have to read the values from the user input. We also did that in our program. And third, we check for the 3 problem situations and the correct situation. After that, we have to write error messages for 3 problem situations and OK message for the correct situation. And finally, don't forget, for 3 problem situations, repeat the process. Good. Now we are fully equipped to start coding. Let's go. Previously, I told you the CIN statement and the if condition should go inside of a loop, and the looping should be happened until the user enters an acceptable value. So here I am going to create a while loop, and all the CIN statements and the condition checking should go inside this while loop. Now what should be the condition of this while loop? Well, I am going to create a never-ending loop. So this condition, it always gives true, therefore this while loop always looping. It does not end. Inside the while loop, what I am going to do is, in the condition checking of the if statement, if user enters a acceptable value, say that he or she enters a correct value and terminate the loop. If not, if the user enters unacceptable value, then looping will continue. Now let's start writing what to do inside the while loop. First we go with the cin statement, captures the value, and then for the if condition. Inside the if condition, and then the cout saying that it is a correct value, and terminates the program with the break statement. And then for the else part, I forgot the /n, and same goes with the previous cout. Okay, now let's start executing this program. Okay, it displays please enter an integer in the range of 1 to 10. So here I'm going to enter an incorrect value 78, and let's see what would happen when pressing the enter key. It says incorrect value, and again I need to enter a value, and it also says incorrect value, and this time I'm going to enter a correct value 5, and it says correct value, and it ends up the program. Now actually it's better if I can put this cout also in the while loop, so now it makes more user friendly. And here the problem is I only check for the integer values. What if the user enters no value, or what if the user enters a character value? To clearly see the issue of that, let's output the number value captured in here in the cout. And also for this one. Now let's execute this file, and this time I'm going to enter an incorrect value 78, not in the range, incorrect, and then again I'm just pressing the enter key. You can see nothing just happened, and this time I'm pressing a correct value 7, and you can see it says it's a correct value and terminates the program. And again I will show you what would happen if I press a character value. Let's say letter G. The program goes nuts. So clearly we have to do something about that. So why the program went nuts? That is because the variable we used to get hold of the captured value is a int type variable. So when we enter a alphabetical character or a special character, it cannot assign into a int type variable because it cannot be converted directly. So in this situation the cin fails, and it won't read any more input into those variables. By giving cin bad input, cin get in the fail state and stops prompting the command line for input, causing the loop to never end. For simple validation, you can try to use cin to validate your inputs by checking whether cin in the fail state. So for that, we can use a if statement before all the condition checking. As the condition we say cin. Now for the else part of this if statement, we check whether cin fails. So inside the if statement condition we say cin.fail, we are calling the fail method of cin. The cin fail method used to fast error checks. It returns true if either the bad bit or the fail bit is set. So what we should write in the else part? When fail occurs, we clear the fail state of the stream and force the stream to throw away the bad input by discarding unprocessed characters. Otherwise, the bad characters is still there and you still get infinite loops. This makes C into normal, so you can prompt for more input. So in here we first call the clear method of cin. It resets the error state. And second, we call the ignore method of cin. And now finally, let's put a message saying that you have input an invalid value. Okay, everything is perfect. Now let's execute this program and check whether our program is correct according to the requirement. As the first test, I will input a out of range value 87, so it will give us the correct response, incorrect value. And now I'm going to enter a character value, alphabetical character value, and it gives us the correct response, invalid input. Now I will press just the enter key without entering anything. Nothing happened. That is what we expect. And now we will input a correct value that will give us the correct response, correct value, and terminates the program. So this program caters all of our requirements. Whenever you have given a coding problem, always analyze it, come up with several solutions, and choose the best solution. And after that, divide it into manageable parts. And with that, we are going to end up this episode. In this episode, we try to solve a real-world problem situation through a C++ code. That means we have put our first step in writing a program to a requirement. From the next episode, we are going to learn about arrays in C++. Thank you for watching and stay tuned on with Edupedia World.